Hi, fellow traders. I hope you guys had a great day today. Um, I know you guys, if you didn't know who Kobe Bryant was before yesterday, I'm sure everybody knows who he is by now and knows the impact that he had on a lot of people, not just in this country, but across the world. And yesterday I was recording my driving with Ed video, and I use my phone to record. I have it attached to my dashboard and I'm recording. And an alert came up and it said that Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash. So, of course, that just stopped me in my tracks. And I'm like, this got to be a hoax. This isn't true. I had to pull over and I was just looking and searching. And I tell you, that threw my whole day off. Never finished the video, never even had the desire to do it. But it's really, really tough. And I didn't follow him a whole lot during his basketball career because I just don't watch pro basketball. I don't watch pro sports, period. I like college, high school. I like the amateurism. Somebody told me I had the Bobby Jones mentality because he was all about amateurism. Why he never turned pro playing golf, but um, I started following him more when he retired because of everything that he talked about. I watched an interview and I'm like, this is exactly what I am trying to be. This is why I got into trading. And he worked hard. He fought and he put himself in a position to where he could retire, work on things that he was passionate about, and spend all the time in the world with his family. And that's why I do what I do. And that was a connection. And a lot of these quotes that he had, it really sunk in. We had some stuff in common, listening to him talk. Both of our wives were Mexican. We both pretty much learned Spanish from watching novellas all day. Because if you have a Mexican wife, you got to watch out for the chancla, and you can bet you're gonna be watching novellas. Uh, forget about your races or games and all that stuff. So, there was a lot that just drew me to him. After he retired, and also he started this um, investment firm. It was a angel investing firm, but he had a really nice portfolio, and he was well versed, and it just made that connection. And this is one of the quotes that I always use. You guys have been with me for a while. These are the type quotes that I would post, and I would think about over and over and over again. It's that pain doesn't tell you when you ought to stop. Pain is a little voice in your head that tries to hold you back because it knows if you continue, you will change. And that's the change that we want. It's like everything is against us when we're trying to make that change. Even us, even our mind does not want us to change because it's too hard. It puts us through too much. But that's the type change that we have to have if we're going to move forward, especially if you're going to be successful in trading. You have to have that mindset. And I grew to respect him so much after he retired, and me following his business ventures and the things that he did to help everybody he came in contact with. So really, really sad day. All of my whole family just kind of we're still dealing with it. And it's funny how you could feel so attached to people you just don't know, but they impact your life so much that it's really hard to deal with. So I wanted to take the beginning of this video to honor Kobe Bryant. I know he lost. He and his daughter were lost, and if you think about it, I don't think one could have survived without the other. That's just how close they were, and it's just a sad day. It's gonna take me a while to get through it, but to deal with it. Me, my son, my wife, she's having a hard time with it. It's one of those things that you just can't describe. All right, so moving on. One trade we took today was WYNN. We had no earnings trades on the scan. We had I didn't even count how many stocks hit the scan this morning. But you had a lot of stocks gapping down because of the coronavirus outbreak. And I think you're going to continue to see that as the week progresses, unless something comes out and it says, hey, this virus is contained, we've got a handle on it. But until then, the market, you're going to see some things happening in the market. So WYNN was one of those stocks. It was downgraded, number one. And supposedly, and I don't know if it's a rumor or not, that they discovered a case or that in one of the WYNN properties, the virus was found. But, in things like this, you just don't know what's true and what's not. You don't worry about the news. You just focus on what the chart is telling you. Focus on what the market is telling you. If you get caught up in trying to connect the news with the moves, then it may not end well for you. So I waited. I said I'm not going to trade the opening range. I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to let things settle in, and then I'll trade. We'll see how the market is working. And I didn't even make a watch list. It's like right before the open, I saw WYNN was starting to wake up and make a move. And so that was the chart I just had up. And you can see we put in this opening range candle, big indecision candle. Okay, indecision candle. I can't trade off of that. That's just, you don't know what it's going to do. So this candle opened, it printed, and we closed above all of the moving averages. We had the daily 200, the daily 90, everything it closed above. So when this candle opened and made a new high, I'm looking for the move to the 50. And then from the 50, my final target was going to be the 100 up here. But getting from here to here was a nice base hit. Now, the only thing that I felt I did that I should have done differently was I should have taken 2/3 off versus half and locked in just a little bit more profit. But I'm okay with it. I felt this was going to give us a strong move. So it didn't even cross my mind until after the trade was done about taking 2/3 off here. But everything worked out pretty good. It just failed. It tried to push above the 50. We thought we had it here. But you got to remember, the next candle, this closed above the 50, but this candle never did make a higher high. So after that, the move is done. All right, so it came back, got us at break even, and that was that. It never really set up. I waited around, you guys know I waited around to go to lunch because I was waiting for this thing to break down and trigger before under this 5-minute opening range high. If it triggered under here, I was back in short. But it had to break, and this is why. Even though we were trending down and you could anticipate that this thing was going to break down and sell off. But in this market, and really for me, I just don't like anticipating. So I was sitting here waiting for this to trigger an entry. It didn't, and so I just went on to lunch. This thing did bounce, but this wasn't gonna fool me. I don't know if we made a new high or not. I logged out. I was done. I don't even know if it made a new high or not. I should have printed the whole chart, but that's didn't think to do that. But I think it might have popped up here again one more time, but it wasn't gonna fool me because we didn't have the volume to drive it to the long side. It's easier for a stock to sell off than to go long. And so on low volume, I would be okay with shorting it, but I wouldn't be okay with taking it long because I don't think it would make the move. Now, shorting it with low volume is still risky because somebody could come in with a little bit of money. They don't even need a whole ton of money to move the stock. It doesn't have to be one of these huge players. It could be a mid-level player that has enough money to buy up or sell and move the stock opposite of where you're going. But that's the risk you deal with trading low volume. But I just didn't want to deal with it anymore, and I was pretty much done. And this is how it's been the last couple of weeks. It's the morning. If you didn't catch the morning, you may be lucky to be in a trend trade that's trending ever so slightly, and you could squeeze out some more money later in the day. But if you're not, it's just not there. Everything just kind of dies after 11, and you don't have a whole lot unless you get some breaking news like we're going to look at here in a minute. But other than that, the market's just blah. So just a base hit today, but not bad starting the Monday out on the green side. Always good to start green on Monday. But I'll take the base hit, 208.28. And we've got a full 5-day week. So we haven't had a full week to work with in a while. So this is going to be good. So I expect to have a pretty good week. I mean, even if I did $200 a day, I would still be the best week of the month. I'd be closing out the month with the best week, and I'd be right where I was last year this time. And the market is nowhere near as good as it was last year. So for me, that would be a win. So that's that. Other thing me and my boy were talking about this morning, we looked at the market last night. It starts trading at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. And we're looking at it, and it was gapping down. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to do that because of everything that's going on. And I'm thinking it's really time for a pullback. And we were talking about this in the market analysis and swing session yesterday morning. We were talking about how we need the market to pull back. There's no really good volatility in this. It's just kind of chopping its way up. We get a little pullback like this, and then there's just no volatility, nothing tradable here. And I said, if we get the sell-off, we can't short. I'm not going to short. The long swings probably aren't going to give us the moves we want. So TVIX is what we want to look at. And so, we kind of rolled the dice this morning looking at anticipating the market rolling over and pulling back. I didn't think it would gap down this much. I figured if anything we could gap just under the 20 here, but we got pretty good. So this is not a bad candle for a gap down day like this. I would look for this thing to sell off tomorrow down to the 50, and I'd be happy to take profit here. If it hits here, we can take our TVIX off, and then that'll be great. But it's just a kind of a litmus test that we were talking about, and it's really no technical setup. It's just trying to anticipate the pullback. And you got this big sell-off candle on Friday. I'm like, I wish we had this idea on Friday. But we had the big pullback, and then we're gapping down the next day, showing tremendous weakness. So I'm thinking this could be the beginning of a nice, healthy pullback. And that's what the market needs in order to rocket higher and give some of these long swings a kick in the rear. So we're going to be looking at this. I'm not going to look so hard at a swing watch list other than the oversold. Those can bounce and bounce pretty heavy. WHR, I know, was on our watch, and it just flat crapped out on earnings today. I mean, nothing. It's practically sitting right now where it closed. So very disappointing on it, but it's the market that we're dealing with right now. All right, so if you were still in chat, now a lot of you had gone, but a couple of you were still in chat. We saw right at the close, we saw this XLRN rip up on some FDA approval news. I think that's what it was. But we saw it rip up. Can you imagine if I was here and I got 300 shares of this around 55? You talking about what, 15 grand? I'd be rolling. But, woulda, coulda, shoulda doesn't pay the bills. But I wasn't chasing it. And I had no idea it would make this huge move. But when we got up here around 90, we started talking about this thing hitting 100. And typically when we see stocks hit 100, they come back. And they come back hard. So what I was looking at was this thing maybe going 100, but we started pulling back here. I didn't want to short it here. I said if it got to 100, yeah, I would think about shorting it. So we pulled back and we started running up again. And then, we were talking about it might get to 100. And, I said if XLRN hits 100, I want to short it. It hit 100, and then I was waiting for this candle. This is the candle I was waiting for to close. And then this next candle to show. But because it was low volume, I had trouble getting in. I had trouble getting in. And once I got in, I got in at 96. And I wanted to get in around 97, 97.50, somewhere in there. But the spread was big, which is why I couldn't get in like I wanted to, and why I only went in 100 shares. Now, if the spread was tight and we had a little bit more volume, I would have probably got in with 200 shares, maybe 3. But I did it, and it turned out to be, pretty much do exactly what we wanted it to do. I wanted to get it at 90 and ended up getting it at 89.50. And then I'm still in 50 shares waiting to see if this is going to sell off. But the key is tomorrow there may not be any shares that you can short. And there were still shares now. I'm looking now. I think there's still shares. But it may not be in the morning. So unless it pulls all the way back, I'm just going to hold this 50 shares to see if we get any bigger rollover. But I'm not going to let it go past my entry point. I'll just leave it alone at that point. But this was pretty interesting. And, this is how we have to trade these. You can't really, this would have been a good trade on this flag here, buying the flag break. But remember, we didn't have a whole lot of volume here. And I don't like going long when I don't have a lot of volume. But shorting it was great. Here was this big blow off candle. This could be considered an inverted hammer. This could be a reversal candle. This is definitely a good candle that can signal a reversal. Plus, we had a ton more volume than we have been trading. So everything was just kind of there to say, hey, it's worth giving it a shot. And that's what we did. Got in, gonna see if it pulled back to the 9. And it kind of looked like it didn't want to play ball for a minute. And then finally we cracked it. But I couldn't figure out who the heck wanted to buy this up here. Why would you want to buy it this high? Here I can understand as it flagged out. But here, I just don't. And definitely didn't think anybody was going to buy it over 100 at this point. I mean, you're up from $50. It's just not logical. And the thing is, we may not know. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. But I can speculate. I can pretend that I can get in these people's heads and think about what they're doing. A lot of this news comes out. We say a stock is doing this because of the news. We don't know that. The people reporting the news, they could be making something up. Or whoever gave them the news could be making something up to make the stock move. And it's moving because of fluff. You just don't know. And we can't get caught up in that. What we need to get caught up in is trading the technicals, trading the chart. Let the chart tell us what's going to happen. Let the market tell us what it wants to do based on technical analysis. It's not 100% foolproof, but it gives us that edge. So we locked in 320.44 so far. Now I did this in a swing account because the thought was I may need to hold this overnight. You probably won't have any shares available. Matter of fact, let me check right now. Oh, there it is. Let's see, short list. XLRN. Well, it still shows 95,000, so that might be gone in the morning. All right, but that's today. We'll come in tomorrow and see if we can keep moving. Still looking for BA to sell some more. You can see my average is down a little bit because of adding back on Friday. I was telling you I was going to add back after the close if everything looked pretty good. And so we added back. And it's working out so far. We'll see. They had some bum news that came out this morning. But again, they didn't let the stock tank. It got bought up. It didn't even dip to 313. It just got bought up. So gonna keep holding it, seeing what's what, and then see where we end up. All right, so that's gonna do it for me. You guys have a great rest of the evening, and I will catch you guys in the morning.